Hey, what's up, beautiful people? It's Shower Guy, and today's episode of Lauren and PJ Do Science, we're going to talk all about jellyfish. In honor of that, I decided to have a jellyfish join me in the shower, and let me tell you, it's a real trippy experience, and it's also... Ow! Ow! Oh man, it stung me. Oh, that hurts so bad. Ow! Ow! Honey! Can you come pee on me real quick? I hear that helps the sting.
Absolutely not. You were the one dumb enough to bring a jellyfish into the shower with you. You made your bed, now you must live with the consequences.
Galileo, Newton's laws, Darwin writes on nature flaws, Curie, radium, and X-ray beams, Einstein relativity, Watson, Crick, and DNA, black holes, Hawking, math, Copernicus redraws a path. Lauren and PJ do science. She's got a doctorate, he's got a beat in lyrics. Lauren and PJ do science. Yeah, he's a broke musician, and she's gonna teach him.
Yeah, thanks, Shower Guy. We're not really ones to kink shame on this channel, but if you want to stay around and listen to the end of the episode, we'll tell you why that may not be the greatest course of action. But as Shower Guy said, welcome everybody. It's Lauren and PJ Do Science, and we are talking all things wibbly wobbly, slimy wimey jellyfish this week. Of course, I'm PJ, and on the other side of the internet is our resident jellyfish enthusiast, Dr. Lauren. How are you today?
I'm great. As you mentioned, I am not a jellyfish expert, but I am a jellyfish enthusiast. I love jellyfish, so I'm very, very excited for this episode.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to talk about jellyfish over the next 2 episodes, and I've been working on a song about jellies as well, with what I know about them and what you're going to teach me. So if you want to hear all that, make sure you comment and subscribe to our channel and our podcast so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. See that? I did that. Yep,
Yeah.
I learned that one. I learned that from one of the podcast classes I've been taking. Yes.
Smash that
yes.
subscribe button.
Yep, smash the button and like all the stuff because you don't want to miss out. I mean, this is going to be some interesting stuff. So I figured we would get started and I would tell you what I know about jellyfish and you can tell me why I'm wrong.
Sounds good to me. Let's do it.
Or possibly right. I mean, jellyfish, they live in salt water. That is correct. Right?
Yeah, primarily, yeah. They are marine animals.
Yes, they are marine critters. They don't have brains. They have tentacles, which they use to zap their prey and anybody who is careless enough to walk by and bother them. And a lot of them are pretty painful. And as I learned recently while researching some stuff for the song that I'm writing, you're actually not supposed to have your friend pee on you when you get stung by a jellyfish. But yeah, we'll explain that at the very end of the episode, so make sure you listen to the whole thing to try to find out why you may just wind up looking silly and asking your well-hydrated friend to fix you up there. I also have some, I also know that they are bioluminescent, some of them are, so they glow and they look all kinds of trippy and interesting and stuff, and it's very nice to look at jellyfish. They're kind of a moment of zen on YouTube. When you're trying to chill out, they're just kind of floating around. The little brainless, nerve-filled blobs just vibing there and nice, calm, and peaceful while listening to some lo-fi music. So that's about... Oh, they also scrape up single-cell organisms and tiny little planktons and stuff. But if I'm not mistaken, they can actually vacuum up some fish at times.
Yes. There are jellyfish that prey on fishies. So much everything you said is more or less correct. We could just get into some more detail about what jellyfish are all about, and why they're interesting.
Yeah, thank you, Wetlands Institute in Stone Harbor, because that's why I remember all that stuff from when I was a kid.
Shout out to these local areas like the Adventure Aquarium in Camden, that do their best to educate folks who come to look at the pretty jellies and tell them all about why jellyfish are interesting and cool.
Yeah, and if you think about it, if you're a fish that gets sucked up by a jellyfish, that's got to be the trippiest thing in the world, right? Because you just got absorbed by this
Yeah.
this blob. It's I mean, okay, picture all right, like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Like you're sucked up by an alien spaceship, and then imagine a fish gets released, right? So for some reason, the fish escapes the jellyfish and he goes over to his friends. Y'all won't believe what just happened to me. I done got sucked up into this weird thing, and I was just floating there. And this creature was probing me and saying things where they took me along, and next thing you know, I found myself right out in the ocean again. And his friends look at him like, yeah, all right, Jerry, you've been drinking again. It happens in the sea world, I'm telling you.
I can only imagine that that's how sea creatures respond to being almost collected by, like ROVs. Like the remotely operated vehicles or like Alvin, like the underwater subs. Like imagine, you're a shrimp or whatever, and you're crawling along the bottom, you're minding your own business. All of a sudden, this vacuum hose or this pair of pinchers just comes out of nowhere and reaches out and almost gets you, but you get away. Like you're totally gonna go to the other shrimp and be like, dude, the craziest thing just happened to me, and they're gonna be like, sure, Ted. Okay, whatever.
I think it might have been, I think it was Jeff Foxworthy where he did a bit about catch and release fish, where he's like, yeah, I came up there and I saw this light, and there was a bunch of empty Budweiser cans all around me. It was funny.
Oh my God. Exactly.
It's got to be trippy, man.
Exactly. So,
like, I don't know why that reminds me, but it's got to just be like this crazy experience. It's kind of like when they do the hatcheries and they send the salmons through the, I don't know, like 1.5 mile long tube up the hills and all over sorts of weird things. Like, man, that was the strangest water slide we'd ever been on.
Oh
and there's like one baby salmon that's like, send me back, I want to do it again.
Whee! Oh, speaking of which, before we get into any of this stuff, I have to correct you on something that you said a couple weeks back that I didn't catch.
Okay.
It's not about science,
I'm in trouble.
though, so you're good.
Okay.
But you remember how we had the episode where we were talking about funding in science, and you talked about the 2 things that you thought that Trump did that were good?
Yes.
So I want to add one, but delete one.
Okay.
Oh, the one that I want to delete is you mentioned Trop World in AC.
I did.
Trump didn't own and doesn't own Tropicana.
Oh. Yeah, well, he doesn't own Tropicana, but he used to own Trop World.
Trop World was in the Tropicana, right? You said.
No. It was called something else. Yeah, it was in the
I
Trop
don't think
World
that
Casino.
was his though. It's a different company that owns.
Oh, maybe it was.
Yeah, because Tropicana and Caesars and Harrah's are all owned by a different company than the Trump casino enterprise.
Right.
Which he apparently, all of those Trump casinos, by the way, if you've never been to Atlantic City or you haven't been there recently, all of the Trump casinos are gone. They've all gone bankrupt and they're empty shells that are just uglifying the city.
Yeah, pretty much just like the rest of the city's
going. But Tropicana's still there.
Yeah, and Caesars is still there.
And Caesars.
Yeah.
I think Harrah's, I'm not sure, actually, about Harrah's.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I mean, do you know how many years it's been since I've been to Atlantic City? And since really, let's be honest, anybody's been to Atlantic City?
I live like 30 minutes away, so it's a little different for me.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's been going to the Bovada. Is it
Borgata?
Borgata, that's what it is. I totally
forgot that. Which is admittedly a nicer casino, although I don't gamble. Like to me, I don't understand I've played a slot machine before, and I understand how you win a little bit of money or you lose your money and you think, well, if I keep putting money in, maybe I'll get it back. I get that, but I've never been like, I want to go play the slots for several hours and just see if I get anything. I don't understand that. My grandmother used to do it, and she would make fun of the other old ladies in the casino,
Oh,
which
the
I
old
always
people
thought was
love
really
it.
funny. But
Well, all right. I did a quick look up, and you are correct. It was not owned by Donald Trump. It was always owned by it looks like it was
yeah,
Ramada.
called it.
Um, okay, so this is kind of interesting, and you'll
Okay.
appreciate this. So it was originally the Ambassador Hotel in 1990.
Mhm.
1920, not 1990, 1920.
1919. I was gonna say, like, okay.
It opened in 1919 as the Ambassador Hotel. In 1922, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and Harry Houdini met at the hotel for a seance for
Wow.
because Doyle's
Okay.
wife was a spiritualist, and she went to contact Houdini's late mother in a seance. Al Capone,
Yeah,
Lucky
yeah.
Luciano, all those guys were involved with it. Shocker. Then from 78 to 80, it was purchased by Ramada and was renamed the Phoenix.
Mhm.
Then in let's see, 81 to 88, that was the Tropicana years, and that was let's see, after remodel, they called it the Tropicana Resort and Casino. They renamed it Tropicana Atlantic City, and they had Patti LaBelle, they had Jay Leno, Dionne Warwick, the Smothers Brothers, Tom
Yeah,
Jones, Tony Bennett appeared there. God bless
yeah,
Tony
there was a
Bennett.
time when and my grandmother, again, because she grew up in this area, right? She was born in Pleasantville and died in Ventnor, so she lived in that area her entire life and used to like go on dates on the boardwalk in the 30s, and she would talk about the Steel Pier and the $1 Million Pier, and she saw the
Mm-hmm.
Three Stooges there, and
Oh, the
like
Three Stooges! What a time!
yeah, the diving horses and
Diving.
these crazy rides that like would not like that make Action Park look like
Oh
you
my
know,
God!
crazy stuff that like there's no way that it could exist today. They would get sued out of oblivion.
Oh my God. We're getting off topic, but
Of course we
speaking
are.
of like Trash and Park and all those crazy rides, did you know that on Coney Island they actually tried to make a roller coaster that they wanted to jump the tracks, like literally
Oh my
just
god.
yeet somebody
Okay.
off the side of it?
Very cool.
I mean, I'm not talking like what they're doing in Epic Universe with the Donkey Kong Minecart Madness ride, where it's an illusion. No, they actually wanted to fire somebody off a track and land
Nice.
on another track.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
not gonna work.
Yeah,
That's
shocker. It
crazy.
didn't.
I just yeah. So anyway, like my grandmother would always complain when she was talking about Atlantic City how like they used to get these really like famous names, like big names, you know, of their day. And like there's a picture of the Beatles on the wall in White House subs in Atlantic City because they were there. And like, you know, of
Mm-hmm.
course the Rat Pack, like Sinatra, of course.
Yeah, all those
And
guys.
now it's not a destination spot for anybody, but at one time it was literally the world's playground.
Well, I mean, I can't get a gig there, so
Yeah. Well, someday, right? Well, someday.
someday. Yeah. Anyway, 81 to 88, 88 to 85, it was known as Trop World, and that amusement
Right.
center that I was talking about was called Tivoli Pier.
Oh, okay. Okay, I do remember that. I don't remember if I ever went on it, but I do remember it. When you first
Yeah,
mentioned
I
it,
mean,
I
if
was
you ever walked
blank.
in there, you probably remember that big ass Ferris wheel that was right at the entrance of the casino, though, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, okay. All right, it's all coming back to me now. Like Celine Dion.
So yeah, it was Armada. It was one of their gaming properties, and a whole bunch of other nonsense. 96 to present, so it's still there. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, all of those buildings have changed names and hands so many times over the years, and it's just I don't know. It's a whole other topic, and um, at the risk of getting way off tangent, I don't want to even get into it. But there was one thing that I thought that Trump did that I agreed with, and I'm surprised you didn't mention it. Getting rid of pennies.
oh yeah,
I'm okay with it.
that's right.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, pennies
Yeah.
are useless.
Well, anyway, yeah, wanted to catch you that. Right. Well, I mean, back then it really did feel like Trump owned the entire town, but
Oh, it
he
did.
only technically owned maybe like half of it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
And
fair
now
to
he
say.
doesn't own any of it. So basically, which is why I don't understand how anybody who's from this area could be like, yeah, Trump's my guy. Like if you have a memory longer than 10 years, you should be like, no, I don't want him running a country. But
10? I hate to tell you, that's going to be more like 20, 30-ish years ago.
well, I'm just thinking of like when all the stuff really started to like fail. I get, yeah,
That was still like 20 years ago.
yeah, like
Yeah, like early 2000s maybe. Which I guess would put it right at about 20 years.
so like in the 20, you know what? It was starting to go downhill when I was in college, which would have been in the early aughts
Yeah.
or mid aughts, and then
Mhm.
but all those properties were still Trump properties then. I worked in
Yeah,
Caesars,
but
but my boyfriend worked in Trump Taj Mahal.
oh boy.
Yeah. I mean, if you've lived in this area at some point in your life, you've been employed by a casino, most likely, either
That's fair.
as a high school student, like moving beach chairs or whatever, or if you were old enough to work inside the casino. Like I worked as a cocktail waitress for a summer. Never again.
Cocktail waitress.
That sucked. That sucked. And my boyfriend was a dealer.
Oh,
Yeah, blackjack.
cards, I hope.
Blackjack and
Okay.
poker, I think. Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Well,
Okay.
all right. Okay. I'm going to do some
Mm.
magic here, okay? So, you mentioned the boardwalk, and they used to have, do you remember the Ripleys on the boardwalk? The Ripleys, believe it
Yeah.
or not. Yeah.
Of course.
Okay. Well, they have an aquarium
Yes.
in Myrtle Beach that they name Ripley's Myrtle Aquarium or something like that. Anyway, they have jellyfish. So, Dr. Lauren, tell us about jellyfish.
So funny because one of my students was literally just telling me about going into the Ripley's aquarium and thinking it was really good. That's a good segue.
Oh, yeah. I've heard it's fantastic.
It's actually apparently really good. So
yeah, it's got
there you
great
go.
reviews.
I
I think they have one in Tennessee, too, by Dollywood.
I think they were in Myrtle Beach last week. I'm not sure. But in any case, jellyfish. So, first of all, let's get taxonomic. Let's talk about where do jellyfish fit in the grand scheme of living things. So jellyfish are animals. So in the
Mhm.
kingdom Animalia. The phylum, right, the next group under animals would be Cnidaria. That's spelled Cnidaria. Cnidaria. So the Cnidaria.
Can you use this in a sentence?
Yeah, if you use it in a sentence, you get extra credit.
Can you give me the etymology of it?
Sure. So the phylum Cnidaria are named for their cnidocytes or stinging cells. So the cell is
Can
called
you
a
give me
cnidocyte.
the root of
Well,
origin?
the site part means cell. Hang on, I will look it up.
Let's see. All right, Cnidaria.
Yeah.
CYN. There's no way. This spelling bee joke just totally went
I
over
got
your
it.
head,
No,
didn't it?
Cnido is a prefix derived from the ancient Greek meaning nettle.
Oh, so
Like the
stinging
plant.
nettles. Yeah,
Stinging,
jellyfish
yes,
are
exactly.
literally named after stinging nettles. See, if I
Correct.
wasn't being a smartass about this, we would never have uncovered that fact, and that is really cool.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. I like etymology as much as the next guy. So, okay.
Who doesn't?
So, so the phylum Cnidaria, of course, includes jellyfish. It also includes corals and sea anemones.
Okay.
Can you say sea anemone 3 times fast?
Anemone. Anemone.
Anemone. I live in an anemone.
All right. Sea anemone. Sea anemone. Sea
There
anemone.
you go. I'll Venmo you $1.
Yeah, dude, you remember from last week, my rap bars are totally sick. I mean, I may be the greatest rapper of all time.
You're
But,
right.
like, come on,
You're right.
not a problem.
No, not to challenge the king. Sorry about that.
Mhm. Don't you
All
forget.
right. So, so any animal in this group is defined by having these cnidocytes, these stinging cells. So corals have stinging cells, sea anemones have stinging cells. Maybe you know from Finding Nemo that clownfish are able to live inside of sea anemones because they can live inside of those those tentacles that sea anemones have that have stinging cells, because they're essentially like immune to the sting. It doesn't bother them,
Mm-hmm.
but it protects them from other stuff that isn't immune to it. So like other fish, predatory fish.
Yeah, that's why Marlin had no problem with the jellyfish, but Dory, she had a rough time.
Exactly. So, um, so these stinging cells, these cnidocytes, contain a special part called a nematocyst, which is basically like a little triggered barb. So if something touches the cell, it releases this little barbed thread out of the cell, and that's what causes the sting. And the cool thing about that is that the cells don't have to be attached to the animal, and the animal doesn't even have to be alive for those cells to sting you.
Yeah, and anybody who's picked up a jellyfish on the Jersey Shore as a kid would know that that is very
Yes.
accurate. Yep,
Yeah, you can
done
still be
that.
stung by a dead jellyfish. You can
Mm-hmm.
be stung by a dead jellyfish. You can be stung by tentacles that have broken off of a jellyfish. So if you've ever been swimming in the ocean on a day when there's lots of jellies, you can still get stung even if you don't go anywhere near the jellyfish, because its tentacles are really long and thread-like and they break off really easily, and they can still sting you even if they're no longer attached to the jelly. So when a jellyfish stings you, they're not consciously making a decision to sting you. Their cells just automatically do it when they come into contact with something.
Oh, okay. See, I always thought that was like a defense mechanism. Like, hey, you're getting too close. Time to back up and get away from me. But no, it's just kind of, it's just happens to be there. They don't have a control over it.
I mean, it's a defense mechanism and a predatory mechanism, right? Jellyfish use the sting in order to sting fish to eat them. But it's not something that they choose to do. Like they can't be like, "Oh, I'll touch this with my tentacle, but I won't sting it." That's not
Right. It's
something a
not like
jelly.
a bee sting where they're like, all right, I'm gonna sting this dude.
Right. It is not
Hmm.
like a bee sting. So, there are two types of body plan within this overarching phylum of cnidarians. You have the jellyfish body, which is probably the most recognizable, and that's called a medusa form, like the Greek monster with the snakes for hair.
Yeah.
Yep. The other type is called a polyp form, and that would be like most corals and sea anemones have that polyp form where like they have like a base that's stuck to some object, and then the tentacles kind of reach up out of the base from like a stalk.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't quite realize that sea anemones and things like that are actually critters. They're not plants. They may look like plants, but they're not. They're
Yeah,
living critters.
yeah, they are animals. They're not plants, even though they sit on the bottom and they're essentially sessile, right? They're attached to something and they don't really move. They are animals. Corals are also animals. They're just like a pile of a bunch of small animals, and their skeletons make up the reef coral.
Hmm.
Yeah. So these are all
It's
in the same
crazy.
group because they all have these stinging cells. So like you can also, if you brush up against live coral, you can be stung by it. You can get like a really bad injury from certain types of live coral.
Yeah, I learned that on my cruise.
So something that we'll get into in more detail in the next episode is that some of these animals, including some jellyfish, will switch between these different body forms. So they'll spend part of their life as the little polyp form that's attached to like a rock or the bottom, and part of their life is the medusa, and they can switch back and forth between the two.
Interesting. So is it like
Yeah.
they're growing, or is it kind of a life stage thing, or are they just like, yeah, I'm going to be a polyp today, and then another day they're like, I'm going to be Medusa and turn people into
It's a
stone.
life stage thing, and it's also a reproduction thing. So,
I see.
you can have, for example, the polyp can reproduce asexually, but then they can switch to the medusa form to reproduce sexually. They could be a polyp as the juvenile and then a medusa as the adult, or vice versa. They could be they can move around as the juvenile form and then attach to the bottom and become a polyp as an adult. So it depends is the answer.
So it's simple, guys. If you're going through a dry spell and you can't get laid, just turn yourself into a polyp
There you go.
and start over.
Problem solved. I don't know what all these incels are talking about.
Yeah, they could just be little polyps and dealt with.
What's the big deal?
Who knows?
So let's talk a little bit about the body plan of these guys. And again, this covers all of these members of the Cnidaria, so the sea anemones and the corals too. They're made up of 2 layers as they develop from an embryo. So we have 3 layers that we develop from. The middle layer in the human embryo becomes the body cavity, so like the empty space that all of your organs are inside of. Jellyfish don't have that. They only have 2 layers, and they don't really have a body cavity. Like there's no empty space inside of the body of the jellyfish for holding organs.
Okay.
So basically, they're made up of like an outer layer and an inner layer, and that's pretty much it. And in between those layers,
Yeah, they're just like a bulbous, floaty.
yeah,
ew
and
thing.
and in between the layers, there is a space called the mesoglia, and it's jelly. It's not cells, it's not living, it's just a gel separating the outer layer and the inner layer from each other.
Right, it's that part that we all squished our fingers into as kids and went, ew,
Right.
gross.
So, as you mentioned, they don't have a brain, but they do have a neural net or a nerve net, right? So they have nerves, and it's just sort of spread across the whole body. It's not really concentrated in one spot.
So is it like our nervous system where it's got individual nerves that make up the system, or is it just kind of like, I guess, a blanket or a mesh more than individual strings shooting out at different places?
Yeah, it's a net. It's like a branching sort of system. In the jellyfish that have like the Medusa shape, there's a ring around the edge of the what's called the bell, like the main body of it is called a bell because it's bell shaped. And there's a ring of nerves around the edge of that. And
Got it. Okay.
kind of controls how the tentacles move and controls, because jellyfish are sort of planktonic and sort of nectonic, which means something that's planktonic just sort of flows with the currents. Something that's nectonic swims. Jellyfish can like pulse their bell to swim, and you've probably, if you've ever looked at like videos of jellyfish, you've seen them doing it. They do that little pulsing thing where they like contract the bell so that they can swim around, but they're not strong enough to really like fight currents or waves or anything. They get pushed around too.
So they pretty much just like go on vibes. Like no directions, just floating like true vibe surfers.
Right. So these nerves are used to help them pulse their little bells and control their tentacles, and also to sense their surroundings. They don't have eyes or ears. They don't like see or hear. They just kind of feel their surroundings, right? They have a combination mouth and anus, so they take their food in and release their waste from the same hole.
All right, do I bother doing it? Do I make the politician joke, or can we just assume
if
it?
you want to, go for it. Yeah, sure.
All right. Hey, that sounds just like a local politician. Hey.
Yeah. I gotta get that rim shot in while you can. Tip your waiter.
2 for 1 drink specials. I'll be here all week.
So, where was I? Oh yeah, so they take their food into this sort of cavity which serves as like the stomach, the place where they digest their food. Release a bunch of enzymes into that space to digest the food, and then once they've gotten all of the nutrients out of it, they release the waste back out of the same hole.
Well, okay. So it like goes in, it circles around the system, and then they say, "We don't need anything else," and they're just like, bleh.
Right.
Kind of like a cat with a
And this
hairball.
also, that cavity also kind of serves as like the circulatory system. So jellyfish don't really have like a heart either. That they have like a combination intestinal tract and heart that, or stomach and heart that kind of does both. Yeah.
So, like, going back to that fish I was talking about, I mean, they could just be like get sucked up and be like, "Screw this! The quickest way out is forward," and just kind of swim around that whole system and fire out where they came in from.
Possibly. Yeah, sure. Um, yeah, and so they don't have lungs either. They just kind of they take up oxygen from the water and release carbon dioxide back into the water through the cells in their outer layer, their
So
epidermis.
they just kind of like absorb it, because that was a
Yeah,
huge question I had. Like, how do these things, like, I know they don't
breathe.
have gills, so
Yeah,
it's just they take in
right.
oxygen from the water, kind of like a almost like a
Through,
plant, right?
basically through their skin, right? Like kind of the
Yeah.
same way that like some amphibians breathe through their skin, or like
Okay, got
earthworms.
it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Um, so there are about 10,000 different species in this group.
Good lord.
Um, yeah. So you've got a group called the Anthozoa, and that includes all the corals, sea anemones, and some other stuff that kind of looks like a plant but isn't, like those sea fans. They look like they're attached to the bottom and they kind of branch up and look sort of like a big colorful tree. Those are
Oh yeah,
animals.
yeah, yeah,
They're
yeah.
sea fans. Yeah. So those are in this group as well. And then the other group is the Medusazoa, and that includes the jellies. And there's actually a couple of different groups of jellyfish. They aren't all in the same group. And something that you might think of as a classic jellyfish isn't actually a classic jellyfish. It's something else. So we'll get to that as well.
All right. Yeah, you're kind of shattering my world here, because I would love to know why what I think is a jellyfish may not be a jellyfish after all. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, so let's get into that a little bit. Yeah. Um so there's some very weird stuff in among the jellies. Okay, so we're gonna talk about a couple of different like weird groups within those. Um, we're gonna start with the true jellyfish. Okay,
The true
um,
jellyfish.
these are
Okay.
called the Cyphozoa. So they're true jellyfish. Um, and they they are the ones that do this like switching back and forth between, they're like a little motile larva that then lives part of its life as a polyp sitting on the bottom, which reproduces asexually and by budding. So they just make more polyps. Then they can
So they
transform.
kind of like clone themselves?
Yes, they clone themselves.
Huh.
Yeah. And then they can transform into the Medusa form, the recognizable jellyfish form with the bell and the tentacles, um, which will reproduce sexually.
Hmm.
And the cool thing about that is that this is just like part of their normal life cycle. Like they just do this all the time.
Okay, so that makes sense then.
Yeah.
They just kind of go back and forth between stages, and that's how they roll.
So if you've ever like looked at the top, like at a jellyfish from like the top of the bell, you might have noticed that like it's sort of sectioned into four sections. It kind of looks like a four-leaf clover.
Yeah, yeah, they got those four circles on them.
Yeah, so that's the gastrovascular cavity.
Oh, that's the whole thing.
And it's got like these four sections, and each of them are called diverticuli. So what you're looking at is like the combination belly and heart of the jellyfish is what's making that shape.
Okay, so it's all in those like four little bits.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Nice.
So they have, like I said, this nerve net that goes around the edge of the bell that helps them contract their bell and pulse it. and there's like a ring of muscles that line that bell, and that's what they contract and relax in order to pulse to swim. And it also helps them pull in their food from the water.
Hmm.
And they also have separate sexes. So not all animals divide into male and female, but these guys do. They have male. There's male jellyfish and lady jellyfish.
Now, how does that is that something that's figured out from birth, or is that come from the polyp stage, or like can they change when they switch back into a polyp? Like what drives that?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm gonna look it up. I'm actually not sure.
I stumped the scientist.
Well, I did mention I'm not a jellyfish expert.
That's true. I mean, maybe we could say that for the next episode when we get deeper into the woods here.
uh, yeah, I'll look it up because I'm not. So what I don't know is whether or not they can switch between being male and female, because there are animals that can do that, that can become male
Hmm.
or become female depending on the need at the time. But I'm not seeing anything about that or not. So I'll do some research about it because I'm actually not sure.
Cool.
Yeah. So the cyphozoans, the true jellyfish are, um, if you think of a jellyfish, right, that's probably what you're thinking of are these guys. But they're not the only jellyfish in existence. Now, I'm going to give you a challenge, PJ. Name a jellyfish type.
A type. Well, I know about the. I don't know the names. I know the classic one, of course. Um, I know the moon jellies, which are probably going to fall under the ones that you were just talking about.
Yes.
I know the. I know there's one that lives forever, which I think falls under the one that you're talking about too. And then there's the bottlenose and Portuguese man of war, which are very altogether quite unpleasant.
Right. So the Portuguese man of war is not a classic jellyfish. It's not even a single animal.
Yeah, it's like a clump of them, and
Yes.
I remember they would shut the beaches down when they would, like, show up.
Yeah. So a Portuguese man of war is actually a colony of animals. Um,
Mhm.
so they are not true jellyfish. They're in the same phylum, but they're not in the class of true jellyfish. They're in the class Hydrozoa, and Hydrozoa are really weird. So there's they can do all kinds of different stuff. There are some freshwater species of these too. They're mostly marine. Um Most of them do this switch between being a polyp and being a medusa in their life cycle, so they can go from one to the other and back. Um, they have a muscled bell that they can pulse to swim. Um, and it includes this like veil or velum below the margin of the bell. Um, so these are kind of strange because in addition to sort of looking like a jellyfish, right? They can have all kinds of other weird forms. Like you can have these polyp forms that have like these stalks and they look kind of like flowers coming up from the bottom. You can have these free floating species that form colonies called siphonophores, and they look like really long and twisty, sort of like a big, long, tentacled worm, and they're really, really
Mm.
beautiful. That includes this group, and then also the Portuguese man of war, which is actually um, a whole bunch of animals floating together as a colony. And each one has a specialized function. So there's little animals that make up the tentacles, there's animals that make up the bell, there's animals that are responsible for the feeding, there's animals that are responsible for reproduction. So they act like one big organism, but they're not. They're actually a whole bunch of individual animals.
That's insane to
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
Like,
really weird.
it's I guess it's kinda like all the pieces of a car coming together to make a car.
Yeah. and they don't. Every single like part of them has to have a different function. So like they don't necessarily have like a real stomach. They just have like specialized polyps, specialized parts that digest the prey in the water, and then they all like absorb it.
Yeah, and it gets nutrients. That's so weird. But
Is that
I wanted
gross?
to bring up the Portuguese man of war specifically because and we're almost at time, and I know we had I teased it earlier in the episode. The Portuguese man of war, their stings hurt like a mother.
Yeah, they can actually be deadly depending
Yeah,
on how bad it
yeah,
is.
they're horrible. Same with the bottlenose jelly, which I think is I don't know if that's part of the Portuguese man of war. Um,
I'm
uh,
looking that up. I'm not
oh no,
sure.
I just looked it up. It's the Indo-Pacific man of war. Technically, not a single jelly, so it's the same thing.
Oh yeah,
Um,
so it's a type
yeah,
of yeah. Yeah.
yeah, they're in Australia.
You mentioned
They're
moon
in
jellies
Australia.
before. So moon jellies are true jellyfish, but they're actually, if you see them in the water, they are harmless. They won't sting you.
Yeah,
Um,
they're cool. But
they're
these
cool.
man of war in the blue bottles are just unbelievable. And
Yeah.
when I was a kid, like we were taught that if you got stung by a Portuguese man of war, you needed to have your friend pee on you or you would
Mhm.
die.
Yeah.
Now,
Well,
now, why is it not accurate?
because it doesn't do anything. It's not gonna do anything to the sting. Um, you can you basically just have to like rest the sting and let it heal. Peeing on it is not gonna do anything for you, unfortunately. Um,
No, the
I I'm
I looked it up.
I'm convinced that that was invented by like some diver or swimmer or something who had a kink and just like needed to come up with a reason to pee on his friend or get
Like
peed on.
there's got to be a reason for it. I mean, what you're supposed to do, what I learned too works as an alternative to peeing when I thought peeing on your friend was still a thing too. But what works a little bit better and which is less gross is like heat. So you want to take like a really hot shower if you can. Vinegar will help,
Vinegar
but
will help. Yes.
and like
Vinegar is
just like
more
a bee sting, scrape it off. But
yeah. Vinegar is more acidic than pee. Maybe it's the acidity. I just
well, maybe that's where it
maybe that
came
was the
from
idea.
because yeah, because they both have like an acid base, like and pee has ammonia, but like pee doesn't have enough ammonia in it to neutralize the sting.
Right. Well, no, there's no ammonia in vinegar either, but like it's a different chemical. But
No, well, I mean like like acidic.
ammonia is basic.
Is it a base? Oh, well,
Yeah.
what do I know?
Um
That's why you're the doctor and I don't. But yeah, and apparently peeing can actually make it worse. So
yeah. Yeah. So don't pee on your friend or have them pee on you if you get stung by a jellyfish. Um
yeah,
Here in New Jersey, I don't think like Portuguese man of war are more tropical. Um we don't see them, but we do have lion's mane jellyfish, and their stings can be. I've been stung by a few lion's mane in my day. They're very pretty in the water. They're not very pretty when they wash up on the beach. They just kind of look
are
like a
those like the
blob.
yeah like the red blob of just God
Yeah,
only knows what?
it's like clear, but it has this big red blob inside it. And in the water, it looks
Yeah,
really
yeah.
cool. But yeah, outside of the water, not so pretty. Kind
You
of
know
just
what?
looks like a
I'm
bald
thinking
dead head. Weird.
I'm thinking as a kid, I think that's what we called thought Portuguese man of wars were.
Oh, yeah, because
Now that I
Portuguese
think
man
back to
of war
that.
are like blue and purple.
Yeah, and these are like red thing. I don't know, man. We were taught weird things as kids. So
I was gonna say, like, you grew up in New Jersey. Like, there's no Portuguese man of war up here. Down in Florida, maybe,
yeah,
but not
yeah,
not up
and they, uh, yeah. So I guess I was mistaken as a kid. I guess I should have paid more attention at the at the Wetlands Institute.
So speaking of deadly jellyfish, there's one other type of jellyfish that I want to talk about, and then I want to mention something that isn't a jellyfish but looks an awful lot like one.
Okay.
Um, the other class of jellies that look like Medusa, that look like the classic jelly, are called the class Cubozoa, and they're called that because they look like a little box.
Oh, box jellies. Yeah.
Box jellies, and they are super super tiny.
Mm-hmm.
They can be as big as about an inch across, but they're really small. The crazy thing about them, though, is that they have incredibly powerful stings for their size.
Yeah, they're like the no-see-ums.
Yes. And these include like the most venomous jellies. So there are box jellies whose sting is so strong, it can cause excruciating pain, vomiting, increased heart rate, even psychological symptoms. And so if there's like a bloom of them on a beach, like they just tell you like, do not swim here because the sting is so dangerous. And they're incredibly tiny, like less than an inch across. And they actually do have eyes. They have eyes that have a cornea and a lens and a retina, unlike other jellies, so they can see. But they don't have a brain. So we don't actually know how they interpret the images that the eyes detect.
So they really are my ex-girlfriend. They have eyes, but they don't have a brain. They give you an impending sense of doom. They affect you psychologically.
If you're talking
They
about the
hurt a
girlfriend I
lot.
think you are, like, ugh, I have trauma from her. So
Take your pick.
holy moly. Now I'm thinking of one in particular and like, whoo boy, I don't know. Like
Oh
on this
yeah.
show, we tend to make fun of me for the people that I've chosen to date, but
Oh,
turnout's fair play, buddy. That chick was nuts.
I've dated multiple box jellies, I guess, if we're gonna keep it that way.
Yeah. Less said about that, the better,
Yeah.
perhaps. Um,
Yeah, and these impending senses of doom last way more than 2 weeks.
unfortunately, indeed.
Yeah.
So, the last group that I want to talk about are super cool, but they are not jellyfish. But if you saw them in the water, you'd probably think they were a jelly. And can you guess what I'm talking about?
Um, I mean, it'd be really hard to mistake a squid or an octopus for a jelly.
Right, no, it's nothing like that. It's definitely looks like a jellyfish. Sort of like a
Yeah.
jellyfish, but is not.
I mean, I could see how like a small child can mistake an octopus for one. I have no idea.
Comb jellies.
Oh,
Yeah,
those aren't jellyfish.
they are not. They are a completely separate phylum.
Huh.
Yeah, phylum Ctenophora, also spelled with a C, CT this time, Ctenophoras. They are not jellies. They do not have stinging cells. Um, so they're called comb jellies, but they're not jellyfish. They're not cnidarians. They don't sting, but they do have this sort of gelatinous body. Um, and they have radial symmetry, so their bodies are round, right? You could cut you know if you were to cut them like a pie, you could get two equal halves multiple ways. So they have that radial symmetry and they have that jelly-like body, but they don't have stinging cells. And they don't really have true tissues in the way that jellyfish do. So they're a very, very primitive animal in the same way that sponges are primitive. And in fact, there's a debate as to whether the first animals were sponges or comb jellies. And there's
Huh.
evidence on both sides, and the jury's still out on that. Some people say sponges, some people say comb jellies.
Yeah, I used to pick those up on the beach and throw them at my sisters.
Oh, I love seeing them. They're so pretty because if you see them in the water, like we would go fishing when I was a kid out in the bay, and like you'd look down and you would see these like they're shaped like kind of like a barrel pickle, right? They're a
Mm-hmm.
lot more elongated. They don't have that bell shape with tentacles coming down from the bottom, but they do look very jelly-like. They're mostly clear, but they have these like lines that go along the sides of their body that look like little rainbows. Um, and
And
they're
if
really
you're on the beach in Miami during the right time of year, you get to play the game. Is this a breast implant or is it a
yeah.
comb jelly?
Oh boy. Ah,
Wait, where? Hold on. Wait, where is it?
yeah, there it is. So some of them do have tentacles, but they don't have like the bell shape with a whole bunch of tentacles coming out of it. They can have like a pair of them that they use for capturing prey. So they do They can be carnivorous, catch little things to eat. And they're beautiful. I love them. I just like looking at them because they're so pretty. And the name Ctenophora literally means comb bearing.
Nice.
So the reason why they're called comb jellies is because those rows that go along the body that look like little rainbows have these things called cilia, which are basically like a miniature tentacle, like a teeny little thread-like tentacle, and they have like rows of these along their body, so it looks like a little comb, and they use these to swim, to move around.
Oh, nice. I was just about to ask her, like, are they kind of like a mussel, or are they bioluminescent sort of thing? But that kind of, you answered that.
Yep, they do have muscle, um, but they primarily use those little hairs along the body to move around. And they're really pretty. I just like looking at them. What can I say?
Yeah.
And some of them do, in fact, bioluminesce.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that next week because you can see some really cool looking jellyfish that
Yeah,
glow.
we absolutely
Yeah.
can. So I want to leave you with one more thing before we end, and that is, we've been talking about tentacles a lot. Do you know what the
hmm
difference is between a tentacle and an arm?
Um, a tentacle is kind of like free flowing, and an arm has joints on it.
Doesn't necessarily have to have joints, but it is more muscular. So
Yeah,
octopi,
it can be controlled.
right? So an octopus has 8 arms. It does not have
hmm
tentacles. It has arms. A jellyfish has tentacles. A squid has both. It has arms, which are like the shorter little appendages that are more muscly. So if you ever get like calamari, you get like that little ring of arms with the suckers on them, right?
Yeah.
So that's also how you know it's an arm, is that it'll have suckers all along the length of it, like an octopus. Tentacles are longer and more flowy, and on squid, they have suckers on just the ends. Jellyfish don't have the suckers at all, but they're called tentacles in both. They're a little
And
bit longer and more flowy and less muscly.
those suckers are such a weird texture too when you're eating something like that. Like
They are.
it's unsettling. It is very unsettling.
Kind of. So I don't really eat much seafood anymore. I've given up land meat pretty much altogether. Occasionally I will still eat seafood. I do kind of enjoy the texture of squid, at like the rubber hose,
hmm
the crispy tentacle part. But but I can't eat octopus. I have eaten octopus, but I will never do it again. They're too smart, and it weirds me out.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one because I felt the same way. Like it's
It's
almost like
unsettling.
eating something that is smart or could possibly be smarter than we are.
Yeah, and I don't care for it. It bothers
Yeah,
me.
no, it's weird. Um, all right, cool. Well, next week we're gonna get more into the weeds on this. So you ready for
Mhm.
that? And we're going to talk about some really cool inner workings of jellyfish. But I wanted to, and I did not discuss this with you early on text message because I had the idea like right as we started this episode.
Okay.
You know how we usually come up with a playlist, right?
Yeah.
In lieu of a playlist this week, I want to try to make one of those like vibey jellyfish videos.
Ooh, okay.
I did I did a short one on TikTok many years ago, and it was just like the aquatic song from Donkey Kong Country, which is very vibey if you know that one.
Mhm, mhm.
And it was just some video of a bunch of jellyfish I took at SeaWorld. So I want to try to figure out how to maybe extend that or loop it so it's kind of a seamless looking thing. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe go down to the Virginia Beach Aquarium and just sit in front of the jellyfish tank for an hour or a half hour, whatever, and just take video and make one of those like chill, kind of moody, late night study, lo fi videos.
I'm all for it. I do have a suggestion for a song if you don't want to use the Donkey Kong song.
Okay.
It's a song by Brian Eno. Are you familiar with Brian Eno at all?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was a glam rocker, and he got
hmm
really into he's kind of like the pioneer of ambient music, so music that's meant to play in the background. So like he's the original lo-fi beats to
Yeah,
study
the
by.
OG. Yep.
Yeah, he's the OG. He was one of the first people to use computers to repeat sound and loop it and create all these like ambient sounds that are supposed to just be in the background. So like music for documentaries and films and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a song off of his album called Another Green World, and the song is called Little Fishes, and it sounds like you're in an aquarium. It's perfect.
Hmm. Yeah, I was gonna pull like different songs like that together. So I mean
Yeah.
that's a good one. I would use the one from the Donkey Kong soundtrack.
If you have
Um,
suggestions, our audience, if you have suggestions for lo-fi music to watch fish to, please
yeah,
let us know.
or if you're a lo-fi artist and want us to do add your song,
Ooh,
I'll be happy
yeah,
to. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, and who knows? Maybe I'll even take a crack at putting something together lo-fi. I've wanted to do that for a while, but we'll see. I got enough on my plate this week, so who knows?
You and me both. You and me both.
Yeah, but that'll be a good time. But yeah, so thank you for dropping the jellyfish knowledge from our resident jellyfish enthusiast. And again, I hope you all liked it and come around for the next episode and drop your questions in the comment section and we will try to get to answering them. But don't forget to like us, don't forget to follow, subscribe, all those good stuff. And we are on Blue Sky and X now. Our X is LMP Do Science. And Blue Sky is Lauren and PJ Do Science. So check those out for some more interesting fun that we're starting to finally put together.
Yeah.
We're getting
Like,
there.
subscribe, follow, annoy us, ask us for special topics to do. If there's something that you
I'd
want to
love to
hear
do a
me rant
mailbag
about.
episode.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
But yeah, that's going to be it for this week. So we are going to sign off. So we will catch you next week when we talk more about jellyfish and possibly spend some time talking about a weird one that shares a trait of a certain Oasis song. I'm gonna tease it there. I want to see if anybody can figure that one out in the
Ooh.
comments. So we'll do that. But anyway, thank you all for listening and say goodnight, Lauren.
Good night, Lauren.